What we did was the introduction to financial accounting. Today we'll be focusing on learning unit 2, the framework of accounting. Let's catch up. We recap. I had to head it back on that we're not in the class. I hope the other ones can still see the slides carefully. You just can pick up note. You need to learn to pick up some of the notes. Capitalization of issue, we sometimes refer it as bonus issue. If you are getting 49, you can write your narrative if you're doing a journal there to say the bonus issue of maybe 1:5 held there. I think if the marker, normally the subs are done by the lectures, you can find your way to get that 50. That's another fancy term they're using there. Then we covered the basic of what we really want to see when we're dealing with the capitalization of shares, is that ideally you'd want to have them issued in the same proportion as the existing one. And then we also explain that it's just the book entry, which will be converted from the reserves into the share capital. So that journal entry will get that towards the end. So what basically happened, the number of shares that I held previously will slightly go up with bullet 2 in that same proportion that I had. So what basically happened here, the total value of the share portfolio will remain the same. Okay. Issuing the shares, the issuer converts the reserves into share capital. That's very important because we can reduce our profits there and increase our share capital. The journal entries, very important. That exam, it's had that statement of changes in equity. I had to go back in preparation to this to say, I think question 2 wanted the full financial disclosure on the equity. That is unit 3, more equally the part that deals with equity. So it's going to be accounted under the statement of changes in equity. We'll cover that today, don't stress. And then the journal entry is this, the corresponding one being credit the share capital. So today I'll be spending a lot of time on the debit and credit. If you are rusty or your accounting is gone the window for quite some time, we'll be covering the debits and credits so that you're much more comfortable, because once we start kicking on after financial statements, it's going to be the debit and credit. So I want you to be comfortable when I start talking that language. All right, your narrative is going to be the capitalization. Rather, it's a note, this one, that it should be capitalization would be utilizing the retained earnings. It's very important with the preceding bullet when you do the statement of changes in equity. Right, let's get ready for an exercise. Let's get that. So we're gonna have about 5 minutes to do this question. Note, what I did first, I'm trying to highlight what is important when you're doing accounting. You don't highlight everything in that first one. The following balances appears amongst other things in the accounting records of July and rest on the 31st of December. I don't know how you guys are writing. I think you guys wrote online. I don't know if you want to print your paper or however you work. Those are the other new things that you guys need to take into account when you're writing your exam. I think I wrote my exam in a physical format. Hence my school of thinking.
Yeah, Mr. Malifa, can I just maybe a minute there? So my
Sure.
mistake, I think I tried to write online, and I think that was a bad mistake. So this time when I'm writing, I'm just gonna write on paper.
And then what are the, we're gonna get into that, thanks, but what are
Yeah.
the, what you call this, the admin work with that? You need just to do the loading, because I noticed that you've got an hour to load your work.
Yeah, you have to do the loading, and unfortunately you have to scan and do the loading, but you've got the hour, so I think it's sufficient. It's better to write on paper as opposed to doing it.
If you're going CA 2025, becoming a CA next time, you're writing your exam online. So I'm not sure. Let's park the thought and think about it.
Okay.
Thanks for that, Lucia.
Okay.
Let's pick up that as well, because it might we need to be more proficient, I think, in Word or whatever we're using. Get your paper converted into Word. If you work very fast with Word, you can do all these fancy things I think I'm trying to do here. Dates are important in accounting. Normally they will do that. So in this case, the second one, we're talking about ordinary share capital shares issued at 50 cents. We've covered that in the class on Thursday to say, when you've got this, you need to know, why am I reading this? What is that for? Here I'm trying to determine if the rent value is 5 million. I must be comfortable to get to the number of shares. Is everyone following there? Actually, I need those ones. So that's your thinking, don't write. I'll tell you when you start writing. Then life goes on again. Proceedings of 1.5 million ordinary shares were issued when? 31st October. So here my thinking is this transaction before year end or after year end? At this point in time, I don't know when is my year end. But if it means it's my year end, it's December, meaning it happened during the year. Do you get the thinking there?
Yes.
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 So as you read
Yes.
accounting, these are the things that needs to go through your mind. Are you happy?
Yes.
Yes.
Get to the details. There we are. The following decision must still be recorded, meaning nothing has been done. Remember I said, I think on Thursday, your work is going to be record. Now when the directors decides that on the 31st of December, what now they are doing? The main topic, capitalization of shares. So you understand what I did there? I've highlighted that with a different highlighter. Reason being, it's my interesting subject. It's the main subject for the day. I need to get my marks here and move on with my life. When you do that, all basically I'm saying is, where you're sitting, this slide needs to pop up in your head with that cap issue. All those bullets must come. It's a summary of all that is in tutorial letter around the cap issue. Do you see that? This is all the learning that I want you to have. Say, oh, is this what I'm going to do? All right. It must be issued to ordinary shareholders that were registered in the share register on the 31st of December. Let's park that. I didn't highlight that. What does that mean now? Remember, that will mean including those that were issued in October. Did anyone miss that part?
Yes, may you please repeat it? I didn't really get it.
Thanks, Seb. Cap issue was issued to ordinary shareholders. Ordinary shareholders, we always need to be aware of that. That are registered in the share register on the 31st of December 2021. So it will mean you've got those that are under that 5 million, including those that are in that 1.125 million, because they were there by 31st October. Is it clear, that's happening?
Yes.
Anyone else? Only saw 265, the others I don't know, but I'll see their marks now. Get ready. Then that's the last part that you need. In the ratio, remember now it's just that you're doing the proportioning as per the last slide. It must be 1 for every 5 ordinary shares held at, I think it's 65 cents per share. Let's get to the required. You need to calculate the rent value of the shares that must be capitalized. 2 marks. How many minutes you need to take, Lucia?
At 1.2.
All left friend. 1.2 by 2 again. So you've got less than 3 minutes to do the answer. Let's go, meaning I'll give it up until 1843. That's all right.
Okay, I took the 5 million and divided by the 50 cent, then it gave me the 1 million shares.
All right, I'm happy
Then
with that.
from there, I took the 1 million shares and add with the proceeds of 1.5 million. Then in total, I add the two, the 1.5 million shares and the 1 million shares.
Mhm.
Then they gave me 115 million shares, or 115 million.
Yeah.
Then to be honest, I don't know how to apply the 65 cents from there.
All right, I like your attempt. It's very fair. So I think I'm happy with what you did there. At least the friend is not far. Benhilda, please assist. Just take on from where he got stuck.
Okay, I did what he did, the other guy that just spoke, and then I took this 1,500,000 plus the 1 million, and then got to 2,500,000. I divided the 2,500,000 by 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I multiplied the answer by 0.65. As I said, like, I'm not really sure. I was just taking chances.
My job is that I want everyone to be sure when we move forward. Thank you. That's a fair attempt.
Okay.
And come again. I think it was you. So your hand first, and then it's going to be Kebonoko. We're carrying on from where the two left off, or the first one. You'll just indicate. Sure.
Okay, so I said ordinary shares is 5 million divided by 50 cent. Then I got 10 million shares, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then proceeds with 1.5 shares, right?
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, total shares capitalized, you're gonna say 10 million shares plus 1.5 shares. That is equals to 11,500 shares.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're gonna say 11,500 shares divided by 5. That gives us 2,300,000 shares times 65 cents. That is 1,495,000. That's what I got as my final answer.
Lehod, is that correct answer?
I'm in agreement with what she's done, and that's my final answer too. The 149.
Precious.
Huh?
Precious.
3 shares.
Yes, Mr. Melissa. Okay. I got until, so I went according to how Nokubonga went until the 11,500,000 shares, and then I
time
got
was up.
Yes, and then I got, well, as I'm like we talking about it now, I'm busy trying to figure out my way. So now I agree with Nokubonga, where she divided the 11,500 by 5, because it's
Lucia.
Okay, sorry, the lady that just spoke now.
No, I'm saying it's Lucia. I heard you. I think you were finishing up. I'm moving to Lucia. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you.
I need us guys to roll. We are in the class. We cannot sleep. Yes, Lucia.
Sure. So I did everything according to the previous speakers, but my answer is just so far off. So at the end, where I got the 2.5 million shares, I divided it by 5, and then I multiplied by the 0.65 per share, and then I got 325,000.
My lady.
Good morning, everyone. So what I did was, when I got to 11,500, I multiplied it by 1/5, and I got 2,300,000. From there, I multiplied the 2,300,000 with 0.65, and I got 1,495,000.
Thank you, Naledi. Nokubonga, you just do not divide. Let's get that. I don't know if it's maths literacy or which one. Naledi, repeat that last part, what you do there.
So where should I start? From the 11,500,000? Okay,
from the 11. Everyone. Mm-hmm.
From the 11,500,000, I multiplied by 1/5. And then I got 2,300,000. From the 2,300,000, I multiplied by 0.65, and I got 1,495,000.
It might look the same as you divide, but when you read my statement there, it's a ratio. So when you do the ratio, you do the multiplying. I know it doesn't make sense for now, but trust me, the arithmetic sometimes can show you fire. Now you're gonna be sitting, this was one of the multiple choice question where you've got the answers, or when your answer is not there, what do you do? Let's get into that part. Now, lady, how long did it take you?
It took me 3 minutes on the dot, so
time.
exactly 3 minutes.
So now you're in 3 minutes, but your answer is not there. What do you do? Okay, thanks for all the hands. Let's answer that part. Now the answer is not there that you're looking for. What do you do?
Next.
You panic.
You start to panic. I think it's the most likely natural thing, but you don't have time.
Yeah.
So you understand, once we get there, I needed to slow this process so that we are all in the same page on how we do that. Nogubonga, in that multiple choice, I think part of your thing, there was no need to calculate the value of that ordinary share that was issued in October as well. Let's get to that, to those that haven't been answered. Those that spoke now, they cannot be quiet in the next question. Everyone that did not say anything in the class, they're the one that are talking. Okay, Kubonga, let me take you before I get to the solution, which is correct as Naledi gave it to me.
I got the same answer as the last person spoke, but what I did is 11,500,000 multiplied by 65 cents. Then I said I got 7,475,000. Then I said 7,475,000 multiplied by 105, and I got 1,495,000. I don't know if I did correctly or
you did it incorrectly.
Oh,
not correct. You concentrate on the number of shares. Because once you do end, you'll see with the other question, I'm looking for something else. So in that case, you'll be stuck now because you didn't have to take that one step to do it at the end. The time will be up. Okay.
Noted. Thank you.
That is that one. I think as we were talking to say, my thinking process was to get that ordinary shares that actually we're going to have about 10 million shares. So I took that 500 million in the books, divide by 50 cents. Nokubonga on that part, because the number of shares are given to you. So you don't have to do any other things where you see proceeds and number of shares are provided. Not unless they didn't give you this 1.5 million. You don't do extra calculation, you just take things. Remember, you've got only 2 minutes. We all get that 11.5 million shares. The school of thought, I'm just around, let's take this one. Around here, you could divide by that, but you'll see it could change as you do more questions. Did I have to divide or what? Just make sure. But if you're very comfortable with your arithmetic and your mathematics, then that is fine. But the right way to get the ratio would be to multiply by 1/5. Because here, I'll be very happy to say, okay, this person understood the crux of the question because this was the ratio for the cap issue. Okay. And then it got you, I think, 2.3 million, if I could read properly. There. Then you're going to multiply that by 65 cents. I think you guys get what you're saying. I cannot even see myself now here. Are you happy with how we got into that amount there?
Yes, I just wanted to find out what do we do with the 65 cents? Do we multiply or divide?
We multiply it.
Multiply.
We multiply, yeah, because it's the ratio.
Okay, thank you.
I'm misunderstanding. The way I understood is that 1.5 million ordinary shares is included in that first line.
Were you here when I was reading the question?
I believe so, yes.
You might have lost. Let's look at that date. The decision of the directors was taken end of December 2021. So the first ordinary share, it's what you could have started as, like, if you were, for the lack of a better word, call it an opening balance. Then during the year, that is in October, the company decided to issue another shares. So you have to add that. So meaning they also qualify for the capitalization of shares. Does it make sense now?
So that first line is the opening balance.
Yes.
Not closing. Okay, that's what I misunderstood. Thanks.
Perfect. And that could really happen. That's a good point that you're raising, as those balances, but that line just makes a difference with that date today.
Deborah, you still have some hands?
I needed to get to them quickly. Tando, and I think Hope is the last one. Let me give only Tando the chance.
Okay, so I wanted to ask that 1/5, is it coming because they said 1 ordinary share for every 5 ordinary shares?
That's a crux of the cap issue. Yes, it's coming just merely for that purpose.
Okay, thank you.
Then for the rest, there's another opportunity now. Pace yourself for another less than 3 minutes. This is exam adopted. Again, I've tried to do that. Same, more or less the same. The following information regarding the share capital in the accounting records of state capture was obtained on the 28th February. Just see how am I reading that. So even the speed reading, you'll get comfortable with that. Then I'll definitely do that highlighting. You'll read for yourself and start writing once I'm finished doing that. Just follow. I might not give so much at this point in time. Ordinary share capital at the date of incorporation, 5 million, but you don't know how many shares are there because they didn't give you the rent value as compared to the previous one. Guys, don't comment or don't do anything. Just focus on listening to me for now. Proceeds, the same thing as the previous one, of 800 ordinary shares issued 31st August 2020. So it looks like it falls within the same February year end. So now what you need to learn as a technique is that they might be using the year end date towards the end with these short type of questions. Let's get this one, this part. Some of your year end. 20,000, 10% cumulative preference shares. On this day, I've done something on cumulative preference shares. Additional information. Number one, check. 4 million ordinary shares were issued. Now you see you don't even have to do that calculation. The previous example we did, it was that 50 cents for 5 million shares. So they're giving you here how many number of shares were issued at incorporation when? In 2018. Okay, while the cumulative preference shares were issued a year later. Okay, the following decision was made by directors and must be recorded. You will always do the recording. That is your job again. This is your job as an accountant. Let's get to it right. A capitalization issue, I didn't highlight it this time, must be made on the 31st December when 2020. Can you see that August part of it will qualify for that part because it was done before. So you've issued those ordinary shares, those 800,000 before December because they were issued in August 31st. At what ratio? In the ratio of 1 for every 3. 1 for every 3. You know what we did in the previous example. Let's get to the required. All latecomers will never be allowed in the class again. First part, calculate the number of shares that must be capitalized. That's the first part. The second part, calculate the rent value of shares that must be capitalized. So you've got, always you do that if you're not clear. You take 1.2, you multiply by 4. So you've got close to 5 minutes to finish that. Let's go. Not talking for the next 5 minutes. You raise your hand if you can't see anything, but you are late for that. We need to be writing now. 5 minutes.
Mr. Muller, if I can ask, that amount in red, it's hidden on my side. What is it?
It's R1.80.
Thank you.
What should I say? What I did, right? So what I did is that number A, I took 4 million, which is ordinary shares issued in corporation. Then I added the 800,000, which is the proceeds on ordinary shares, 800,000 shares.
Just pack the X. I just want everyone to follow what's X so that once you start talking, you're adding from that point. Carry on, X.
Okay, and then I added those two together. I got 4.8 million. And then those were my total ordinary. What's question number 1? Yes, then that is number A. Calculate the number of shares that must be capitalized. Then for number B, I took that 4.8 million multiplied by 1 divided by 3. Then I got 1.6 million shares. Then I multiplied that by R1.80. I got 2,880,000. That's what I did. So I was not comfortable with the cumulative part, the 20,000, 10%, and I did not touch it.
Okay, so what does it say? We'll get to that. Let's get into it now. It's two separate topics. So your guess was, as much as you didn't know what to do with it, almost close to being correct. You're dealing with another animal once we do that. So the cap issue, it's normally, if you can check, how is it done? It's only for the ordinary shareholders. Can you see the next to the 31st December there? It says 2 ordinary shareholders. So that's part of reading to just see if you comprehend everything correctly. Thanks for the attempt, Ntombi.
I did the same thing as the person who was speaking did. And then I did not add the cumulative preference shares because like you already explained that we are supposed to be dealing with the ordinary shareholders. So I got the same answers as it did. Like it's 2,880,000 million, or it's 2,880,000.
Elias?
I agree with that answer of 2,880,000.
And then on number of shares?
4.8 million shares and 20,000 cumulative shares that I still needed to calculate separately.
Valencia?
Oh, okay, thank you. I also agree with the answer that was discussed previously. Thank you.
So for me, I was a bit confused at first, so now it's clear. I was confused by the 500 million, by 5 million. But I see that the confusion that I had, like I should never be confused by that because they were talking about ordinary shares. So only I'm getting it now. Yeah, just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
And so I'll take you last, Amanda.
Morning, everyone. I also got the same answer as Zakes. I followed the steps that he did, so nothing was so difficult for me.
And Petunia?
Morning, everyone. Okay, I also got the same number of shares, and also the rent value is the same.
Morning, everyone. I'm not sure if I did correctly. However, for my the number of shares that must be capitalized, I got 1.6 million, and that's because I used the ratio after getting the total number of shares. So from the 4.8 million, then I multiplied by 1.3 to get the 1.6 million, which was my shares to be capitalized.
Thanks, Pinky. Let me take in time saying.
Like I was saying that I got the 4.8 million for the number of shares. But with the rand value, what I did is I included the cumulative preference shares. I took the 20,000 and I with the 10% and with 2 years, which I got 4,000, and then I added them and times it with the 1.8, and then in the 1/3, which I got the 288,240.
Okay, now thanks. Let's pack that. Let's give Nancy Darlene, and the last one will be Rory. Okay, it would be Tshepo. You go, Nancy.
Morning, Molefe in class. What I did was I took the 4 million, which it was at incorporation, plus the 800,000. I got my 4.8 million divided by 3. And then at 1.6, I multiplied with the R1.80 and got to the 2,880,000. Thank you.
So for part A, what did you get?
I got 4.8 million.
Okay.
Yes.
Darlene?
I also used the 4 million shares plus the 800,000, which gave me 4.8 million shares. That was for part A. And then for part B, I times the 4.8 million with 1/3, which give me 1.6 million, which I multiplied by R1.80, which gives me 2,880,000 rand. Sorry for that.
Thanks, Darlene. Sorry, Rory-san. I'm saying which hand was it? You're coming back again, Mos. I was taking Rory-san and Tshepo last. Let's just pack that for now. Type saying Lebogang.
Okay, thank you, sir. What I did is that I took 4 million, then added with 800,000, then I got 4.8 million. Then I multiply it by R1.80, then divided by 3, then I got 2.8 million 800,000.
Thanks. Tshepo, you go.
All right, thank you, Mr. Molefe. What I actually did, I took the 800,000 and added with the 4 million. I got an answer, and with that answer which I got, I multiplied it by 1.3 for my answer number 1. And then the second answer, then
What was the first answer?
The second answer, yeah, the first answer I got 264 0,000, and then that answer I then multiplied it by 1.80.
Okay. 1.80. All right, fair. Bad news, guys. First part, all of you almost got it wrong except Pinky. Back to slide 3. Capitalization is about the shares are issued in the same proportion as existing shareholding. So what you did, you gave me the existing shareholding being the 4,800,000. Hence, I think someone earlier on wanted to use the ratio last. You don't do it. You get the number of ordinary shares. Someone was also adding cumulative. Let's get that one. It's wrong. The statement says you're only capitalizing ordinary shares. That cumulative, I brought it up to confuse you. In exam, you have to be confused. So what it comes means is you need to know your story. That is non-negotiable. So cumulative, you don't bring it there simply because it's preference shares and they are not ordinary shares. What you guys all did was not get into discomfort on that slide 3 bullet 2, the same proportion that as it will be. So because you needed to get that part. So that ratio comes just immediately after the ordinary shares. You can unmute Tsepo and Rory. That is what we're doing. It's only Pinky, but she was also not sure. What I did not bring the multiple choice question because the 4.8 was not there. So you guys will have known that you need to multiply by 1/3 to get 1.6 because 1.6 was one of the answers. This question is straight from this year's sub-exam. Rory, I don't know if it's a new hand, on Tabi saying it's a new hand, or NCT it's a new hand. You must be worried with A being wrong. So we're starting new hands on getting the wrong answer. Are you happy now? Can you see now that we're just getting all those exam tricks right now?
Sorry, sir, I didn't hear the answer.
You're obsessed about the answer. I've given you that you guys did not get the correct answer. I want comments on you being wrong first. You need to understand you're wrong, and then you start commenting on that.
Hello, sir. Now I understand that I was wrong, that I added the cumulative. So please repeat the first statement that you were saying about.
Were you listening to everyone talking?
Yes, I was listening to everyone.
They all got the 4.8 million.
Yes.
Put it that is equal to everyone right there. The one who got it wrong, this is equal to the total number of ordinary shares issued to date. That is that, but it's not the cap share. So next to your wrong answer being 4.8, you write this is equal to the total ordinary number of shares as at December.
So I'm listening, but I don't get what you're saying is wrong on part A.
Part
Are you
A.
saying the 4.8 million is wrong?
Yes, that must be equal to ordinary shares issued as at the end of the year. You need to write that with a red pen. No zip.
Okay, now I'm with you. I got it. So the actual correct number is that 1.6 after the multiple of 1:3.
Yes.
Okay, because I think that's where my confusion was to say, do I put it the 4.8 as the number of shares or 1.6?
I'm glad I did my job. I'm here to sort your confusion, guys. Don't worry. That's my business.
I'm good with that. Thank you.
B. I know all of you are patiently waiting for an answer. I don't know if that participation means what, but I want everyone to participate. B.
Sir, I guess I didn't explain earlier because when you talk about the 1.6, where I've done my calculation, I've taken the 4.8 million and I've times it by 1 divided by the 3, which gave me my capitalization shares, my shares to be capitalized, which was the 1.6 million, which then led me to my answer for B.
No, you've got 1.6 for A.
Yes, 1.6 million for A as my
correct.
shares to be capitalized.
It's you and Pink. I think I didn't hear that part from your side. Then you're correct.
Okay, thank you.
Precious. Non-transfer.
Sorry, I wanted to go back to the question, Mr. Molefe, to see exactly what was the question on A.
Calculate the number of ordinary shares that must be capitalized, not the number of ordinary shares.
Okay.
Yes, so now I understand the question. Now I understand. Thank you.
Hi, Molefe.
Yes, Tlashan.
On my side, number A, I said 4 million shares times 1 divided by 3. Then I got 1,333,333. Then I took the proceeds,
Let's
800.
pack that a little bit. 1.3 was kind of bit offish. I want to see how did you get into that, but that's fine. We passed that stage. I think I might have ignored you. Wait, we're heading towards the answer now. Don't stress for now. Hold on to that. We'll mark together with my next answer. You see how I roll sometimes? I don't get that. So what you guys did with your number 2, you're almost correct. Where you're gonna take that 4.8, I think multiply that by 1/3, because I need that 1.6 to go there. Then you take that 1.6 and multiply by 1/8. Happy people, I didn't prepare the answer for you. Hence your participation will be that even if you were to get my slide, it won't have the answers until I get everyone to talk, because you're gonna and you need to show me what you have been doing so that I can share the slides, my slides with you. So you wouldn't just have my slides. Okay, let's move to the order of the day today. We're happy. That is in an exam. That was a sub-exam. 2 first marks were there. And then when they moved to the question 2, they wanted you now to take all this issue that has to do with ordinary shares, cumulative shares, you disclose them in the statement of changes in equity. We might touch a little bit of that next time we do the financial statement. All right. When we started the class, I was checking where we are. I think there was someone that said he was struggling. So we're dealing with the framework of accounting. So what is basically expected from you? You need to master the conceptual framework for financial reporting, understanding the objective of financial statements, understanding the underlying assumptions in the preparation of financial statements. So these are the conceptual framework, definition of financial statement, recognition criteria, measurement, that's where you do the likes of depreciation calculations, the likes of inventory in terms of how to measure that and subsequent measurement at the lower of cost and net realizable value, a number of things. And then eventually it's important, the lectures to say we need to put emphasis on the presentation of disclosure that will be on the financial statements together, that goes with the note. And then the recognition, we're going to deal with that once we do the property, plant and equipment, I think known as asset disposal or asset realization. It's very important how do you handle that. And then with that said, you guys have the tutorial letter 103. That please just go through it. Those that were in the class on Thursday, I'm not sure if they managed to do that. We'll park it, we'll see where we can add it. I was trying to see if I'll pick up some multiple choice question, but I didn't. So I decided to do the first part on what I saw in an exam as part of the MCQ. But tutorial 103, it changed and added some work that needs to be done around over and above what we're doing now, because we're looking at CA 2025 objective with SICA, what we're trying to move you guys towards that direction. Please go through that tutorial later. It's equally important. But what I wanted to cover more important here is because of the definition, it tells us about the elements of financial statement. So this is what I want to do that. So when I was at some point a student, I decided I needed to create the rules to understand these things, that I must be sure I know how to deal with that. I'm not gonna cover the asset. So basically you need to go to your first year notes and go through the definition to revise or recall what asset is. But I think what I want to bring that, all that I'm saying is that my assets will increase with the debit entry and they will decrease with the credit entry. So this will come very important once I start moving to study unit, the one that deals with property, plant and equipment 5. When we buy an asset, we'll increase it, we'll see a debit entry. But once we do that, the recognition of that asset or disposing that assets, we'll see the credit entry. So this is important. It carries lots of marks as we carry on. Because remember, we've only worked with about 4 marks. So in our bank, we've got 4, maybe plus 2 if I push it 6. if it comes as a full-blown question for learning unit 1 under the cap issue. I haven't even taken into account the cumulative preference shares as yet, or the dividends thereon. So those are the only other 2 areas that I need to worry about, just to make sure that I've got my consolidated marks in learning unit 1. So here this becomes an additional. So I'll say this is more of a prep, because under the elements, there isn't like really much. All right. On row number 2, I had liabilities. I know my liabilities needs to increase on the credit side and decrease on the debit side. So how will I know they are decreasing? If I'm starting to pay off my debt, meaning I must reduce my thing. The entry that I must see there is a debit. If I'm taking on a new loan, I'm adding more into my liabilities. They go up with the credit. I think everyone please just mute. I'm just getting the feedback. And the third rule that I've got is under the equity, because this forms part of my statement of financial position. It comprises of equity, liabilities, and assets. So my assets will be on top. It follows with equity and liabilities. So they follow the same direction as rule number 2 under the equity. These are our parts that we're dealing with, the capitalization of shares and all the share issues there. They increase with the credit entry. We did that. You saw that we've just moved the retained earning into the share capital, and then they will be reduced with the debit entry where we're doing the cap issue. The retained earnings go down, and then you credit that. So all these 3 elements of financial statements will be the key component to the next tutorial later. I mean, the next learning unit we'll be doing on the financial statement. So this is equal to the financial position. Statement of financial position will comprise of this. I'll park a bit and take questions for now. So far on what I've covered. Seeing everyone is comfortable so far. I don't want to see any confusion when we get to things which needs the debits and credit. For now. Great. Then there's another statement of what you call this comprehensive income and other income. It's the next set of rules. I created that for income and expenses. For income, I call it rule number 5. It follows rule number 2, rule number 3 as well, because it's the same. They go up on the credit side and go down on the debit side. The expense is an opposite of rule 5. They go up on the debit side and go down on the credit side. Why I'm not mentioning here, so at the second year level, you need to know what is the list of expenses that you will come across. Same thing with the income, what will be the list of income that we do that. We did that in FAC2601 and 02. So at this point in time, I'm expecting you to kick on and build on from that knowledge. Those are my contact details, 072 283 and 8. Let's listen carefully. You're going to WhatsApp me because of POPIA Act, meaning you're giving me permission to add you into the group. Don't put your numbers here. You're going to WhatsApp me. I think I'm the last one to. Okay, let me start with Busisiwe. Back to that question. Hence, your participation on time is very important so that once we move, you're not sitting like Busisiwe. Once we've passed that stage, you're only still being eaten by the last question. We need to get that out of our system as we progress. What we did with that 1.6, we took the 4 million shares, we added the 800,000 shares, we got 4.8 million, which majority of you got it wrong. So I think you were not listening. I said the 4.8 million is the total number of ordinary shares that were issued by the time we decide to do the cap issue. Then you take that 4.8, you multiply by 1/3 to get the 1.6. Are you happy now?
Can we please revisit the activity that we did on Thursday? The 150 times.
Why are you stressing about that? I think I've got it. Why are you stressing?
Oh, because that I did it, and then you said you will tell me the answer today.
How
Well,
did you do with the two?
thinking
You
that my,
correct.
my things were wrong.
How did you do with your today's stuff?
Sorry?
How did you perform on the last two exercises we had?
I got the last one I got wrong. The first one I got, it was okay.
Okay, it's all right. I'm going to that. There is that thing.
Okay.
That one, we don't worry about it at all. It's historical. There's nothing we can do about it. Leave it like that. You carry on with your life. So I was trying to attack that question in a separate way on what we did on Thursday. You'll always get the number of shares, just multiply by 3. So remember that one is no longer that. So you'll give us the 3. So you'll get the 150. So you were correct. No tabs, you're saying you got 2892. But I've explained that we do not go to the preference. Just don't say even cumulative shares. Cumulative preference shares, because the cumulative shares is 4.8. So like I've explained. So here, when you're dealing with the cap issue, is as far as only ordinary shares are concerned. Nandi, I don't understand your confusion with cumulative preference shares. I had it here purposely to confuse you. So do not allow to be confused by us lecturers in exam. When we're dealing with the capitalization of shares, we are only referring to ordinary shares.